and welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you how to cut a conical basque corset blouse with a turtle neckline. So if this is something you like, please don't forget to hit on the subscribe button, give this video a thumbs up. So let's dive right into today's video. So to start, here is my pattern paper and I've gone ahead to mark out all my basic measurements. So I marked my shoulder to bust line, which is 9 inches. My shoulder to under bust is 12 inches. My shoulder to waist is 17 inches. And from my waistline, I added 5 inches for the blouse length. So after I'm done doing that, I'll just go ahead to mark my shoulder divided by 2 and I'll add half because the dress has a sleeve. From that point, I'll come down by 1 inch and I'll go ahead to place to draw my shoulder slope. After the shoulder slope, I'm going to find my chest line, which is also the armhole, and to do that is your bust circumference divided by 6 plus 1.5 inches. So mine is 7 inches and I'll place my ruler and draw a straight line at that point. So on that same chest line point, I'll mark what I have on the shoulder again. That is that exact 7.5 inches. Place my ruler and I will draw out. So at this point, I'll just go ahead and divide what I have here into 2. After folding that, I will mark and then I'll come in by 1/2 inch. After coming in by 1/2 inch at the chest line, I'll go ahead to mark my bust circumference divided by 4. Place my curved rule, connect from that point to the 1/2 inch and I'll take this all the way up. Now, I'm going to be marking my dart intake, and to do that, I'll be marking my nipple to nipple divided by 2. My nipple to nipple is 7 inches divided by 2. I have 3.5 inches. Now, I'll just go ahead and mark this all the way to the blouse length, and I will draw a straight line connecting those lines. So next, I'll be marking a dart intake of 1 inch at both sides, and I'll also repeat it at the other side, and I'll do that from the under bust to the top length. Place my ruler and I'm going to draw out a straight line connecting those lines. After doing that, I will go up by 1.5 inches. So this is not a standard. It totally depends on where you want your cup to start. So I'll go ahead and mark back my nipple to nipple divided by 2 and connect the lines. So now I'll place my curved rule, connect from my bust down to my under bust, and also repeat it at the other side. And I will mark a dart intake of 1 inch at both sides, connect from the upper part down to the bust line, and also repeat this at the other side. After I'm done doing that, I will come down by 1/2 inch from my chest line. And from that point, I will go in by 1/2 again. I'll place my tape and I'll go in by 1/2. So from this point now, I'll connect it to the under bust of my pattern this way. And from the upper part, that 1.5 inches we went up, I'll reconnect my pattern, and from this side, I'll take it all the way to the chest line. To mark my cup at the other side, I'll mark my nipple to nipple divided by 2 and I'll add 1/2 inch. So that's making it 4 inches. This is as good as dividing what you have between your armhole and your bust circumference at the upper part of your pattern. So I'll go ahead and I'll place my curved rule touching the under bust, that 4 inches point, which is our nipple to nipple plus 1/2 by the side of the bust, and I'll take it to the upper part. So this is what I have after I'm done cutting or marking this out. So next, I'll just go ahead and use my marker to outline the rest of my pattern. Next is to mark my neckline, which is a turtle neckline. Instead of using 3 inches, because this is a turtleneck and we don't want the neckline slacking, I use 2.8 there. And after marking the 2.8, I'll be coming down by 2 inches. So if you're not comfortable with this, just make use of 3 inches by 2. After doing that, I'll just go ahead and use my marker to outline the rest of my pattern. So next, I'll insert my body measurement here. I'll mark my bust circumference divided by 4. After marking that, I'll measure these 2 inches dart intake here and I will replace it, and then I'll be adding my sewing allowance. You can use any sewing allowance of your choice, then blend in my chest line to bust line. Now I'll mark my under bust circumference divided by 4, measure the dart intake, replace and add my sewing allowance. Going down to the waistline, I'm going to divide my waist circumference divided by 4, which is 28 divided by 4. I have 7. So instead of marking 7, I will mark either 6.8 or 6.5 inches and measure the dart intake I have there, replace and add my sewing allowance. The reason why I did that is because we don't have a lacing bar at the back and I want the waistline area to be a bit relaxed or snatched. At the blouse length, I will mark my hip circumference divided by 4. My hip is 40 divided by 4. I have 10. Measure the dart intake. I will replace and add my sewing allowance. So for this pattern, you don't need too much sewing allowance because of the conical effect we have by the side. So you can just use half or 1 inch for your sewing allowance. After I'm done marking that, I'll just go ahead and place my ruler and I will connect my lines. I'll connect from the bust to the under bust, from the under bust to the waist, and from the waist to the top length of my pattern. So from the lower part, I'll be going up by 1.5 inches for my blouse length, and from that line I'll come out by 2 inches. So you can also use 3 inches, but 2 inches is okay for me. And from the waistline, I'll connect it to that 2 inches this way. And after that, I'll be maintaining that line to the waist measurement. This will serve as a guide when I'm cutting this pattern out. Then I'll just rule out that line, and after that I will go ahead to work on the lower part of the dress. So there's a slight basque effect here, and I'll just take it down by 1 inch or half inch at this point. So after I'm done marking here, I'm just going to go ahead to use my marker to outline the rest of my pattern. So at this point, if you haven't yet subscribed, please don't forget to hit on the subscribe button, give this video a thumbs up, and leave your comments at the comment section. If you also have a question, please also leave it at the comment section. So after cutting out, I went ahead to cut out this side. So after a closer look at the pattern, I noticed that the conical effect actually started from the upper part. All I'll do is just to go ahead to blend in my pattern again, and I will recut it out. So after cutting out, I'll pick out the side pattern, and after that I will be creating like a style line at this point, and I'll go ahead to cut this out. So this is the side of the dress. If you notice that the conical effect started from the upper part. I'm done cutting. This is what I have, and we'll be moving over to the back pattern. So for the back pattern, I've gone ahead to mark out all the basic measurements, and I'll be marking a basic neckline of 2.8 by 1 inch. So remember, if you're not comfortable with using this 2.8, just go ahead and use your normal 3 inches. This is just to make sure that the neckline at the back does not really slack. So after this, I'll just go ahead to mark my nipple to nipple divided by 2. And for this pattern, it also has a zipper at the back. So if you don't want yours to have a zipper, you can just go ahead and remove that and mark a lacing bar area. After marking my nipple to nipple divided, I went ahead to draw a straight line to connect, and I'll be marking ½ inch for the dart intake, and I'll come down by 1 inch at the upper part, and I'll connect that ½ inch on both sides to that 1 inch I came down from. Then extend my dart all the way to the lower part. After this, I'm going to go ahead to use my marker to outline the dart intake so that it will be visible for you to see. Next, I'll be marking my measurements. At the bust, I'll mark my bust circumference divided by 4 and add my sewing allowance. At the waistline, I'll mark my waist circumference divided by 4, measure the dart intake, replace and add my sewing allowance. At the lower part, I will mark my hip circumference divided by 4 and add my sewing allowance at this pattern. So just like I said, this pattern does not need too much sewing allowance because of the conical effect by the side of the dress. You can use ½ inch or 1 inch for this dress. So after that, I'll go ahead to take my front pattern and I'll place it by the side. This is to make sure that I have the same conical effect by the side of my dress, because if you draw this out, you might slightly have a different effect at the side, and when you join your dress, it will not be matching. So the best is just to go ahead to place what you have in front of your dress and trace it out. So here I'll be coming up by 1 inch and I'll go ahead to extend it because there's a slight basque at the tip of the zipper area, and I will outline this out. And after I'm done drawing this out, this is what I have here. And also remember that there is a line cutting through the main fabric and the ashoke by this side. I'll label here as side and label here as center. To cut out the design at the back, from the waistline I'll come up by ½ inch, and here I'll come down by 4 inches. So this is not a standard, it totally depends on how high or low you want your design at the back. So I'll just go ahead and extend this all the way up. And when I'm cutting this for the back, or when you're cutting it on your fabric, at the upper part that has a lace fabric or a chanty lace, go ahead to blend it up because there's no dart there. And also from the lower part, after cutting out your pattern, place it and then blend in your dart. To take out the excess at the back, the zipper bulge, I'll mark ½ inch from the waistline, extend it down, and then I'll be taking this up, like all the way up. This is to make sure that I get rid of the zipper bulge at the upper part, because this is a net at the back and you don't want the back to be folding. After this, I'll just go ahead to connect, and this is what I have for the back pattern. And I'll just go ahead to cut out the rest of my pattern. So for the sleeve of the dress, it is just a basic sleeve that a net or the net or chanty lace you're using for this particular dress, that's what you're going to cut out, and you're going to attach it at the upper part of the sleeve. So just like I said, when you're cutting this, you're going to cut out the dart, or you're going to blend it out as one piece, because if you notice, there's no dart visible at the back, just at the joining area. So I'll just go ahead and cut out this dart. And also at the back, remember to repeat the same process by adding additional style line, and then go ahead to cut the side that has a conical effect. So with this, we have come to the end of today's video. If you find this tutorial very interesting and educative, please don't forget to hit on the subscribe button, give this video a thumbs up, and join us in our next video. Thanks.